Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shergok, your host, and today we are going to take a closer look at what the enemies of the demon Emperor Yaldabaoth thought about him, and whether or not someone was actually able to figure out that he and Ainz were working together. But before we're going to take a closer look at any of this, let me quickly thank my patrons for supporting this channel, as well as a thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's get to the topic at hand. Demiurge is one of the most important advisors of Ainz alongside Albedo. And while Albedo is very adept at drafting domestic and economic policies and managing international relationships and power dynamics to create the most profitable and stable tributary states that are also genuinely loyal to the Sorcerer Kingdom, Demiurge's great strength lies in the military domain and the tactical and strategic leadership of his troops. Complex plans within plans and long-prepared military coups are unmatched by Demiurge within the Great Tomb, at least intentional ones. Of course, Ainz had his own way of proving himself. And Ainz is also aware of how clever and ingenious Demiurge is, and hopes that Demiurge doesn't realize that Ainz himself is not quite all of that. But all of this raises the question of how Demiurge and his alter ego Yaldabaoth are actually perceived by their enemies. After all, the appearance of this powerful demon emperor seemingly out of nowhere, alongside with Ainz, Momon, Albedo and Sheldir Bloodfallen, raises many questions. And let's start with the perspective of the slain Theocracy, as they have a bit more knowledge of what is actually going on here. They know that very roughly every 100 years, players or NPCs, or as the New World would call them, evil gods, arrive in the New World and can seriously disrupt the established order. For example, 200 years ago, there were not only the evil gods that the 13 heroes fought against, but also the Minotaur King, undoubtedly another player who, independent of them, arrived in the New World, did his own thing, and apparently managed to stay out of these conflicts. As a powerful player, this is actually quite easy, because neither regular NPC monsters, especially those that someone like Evil Eye could defeat, pose an actual threat, nor was Platinum, who first had to deal with the NPC monsters, interested in seeking conflict with such a powerful being, especially since the Minotaur, according to legend, only had a limited biological lifespan and then simply just perished. Moreover, the two players who became members of the 13 heroes also arrived in the New World independently of the evil gods, and yet fought them. And in this context, the reaction of the Theocracy to the appearance of Ainz, Yaldabaoth, Momon, and the vampire that Momon supposedly defeated should be understood and contextualized. The Demon Emperor is perceived by them as an independent entity. However, due to his appearance, which I will describe as hard to explain for the New World, as such suits are not something commonly worn there, and due to the items of the so-called gods, the 6 players who came to the New World 600 years ago, and whom the Theocracy worships, and because some of these items look more like a high school themed outfit than a fantasy battle armor, the Theocracy will definitely have established a connection to Yggdrasil online. But as far as we know from the conversations of their leaders, they suspect that Ainz, and Momon and the Sorcerer King are separate entities. And while they suspect that Momon and the Sorcerer King, due to their close proximity, might be in cahoots and collaborating, it would be from their own perspective a very big coincidence if all of them, so Sheltir as a vampire, the Demon Emperor Yaldabaoth, Momon and Ainz, were really working together. And just as the evil gods and the 2 players of the 13 heroes fought against each other, Slain likely believes that the Demon Emperor and the Sorcerer King ended up clashing over similar reasons. And this would be seen as a positive development by Slain, as they would no longer need to worry about Yaldabaoth at the very least. Emperor Jircniv, who had been a guest in the Great Tomb of Nezarec, however had a completely different view of our demon. The Emperor initially saw him as a foolish creature, but then realized that this being, this Toad Man, as he presented himself, because the Toad with Wings was his true form, was able to control humans via his voice. And the fact that this creature, of all beings, should serve as their de facto contact person and ambassador, and that he would be a guest in his palace, gave Jircniv many sleepless nights. He knew that his palace and everyone in it was now compromised, and he could no longer trust even his most loyal people 100%, as they too could be controlled at any time. And he naturally attributed this move to one of the many intertwining plans of the Sorcerer King, while in reality Ein simply sought peace and friendship with Jircniv, and even saw him as a role model. The kingdom of Re-Estize initially saw Yaldabaoth more as a natural disaster that suddenly befell them, as the demons and battle throughout the city seemed to come out of nowhere. They were neither foreseeable, nor could they locate demonic troops moving through their own lands that could have been intercepted before they reached the capital city. And the situation played strongly into the hands of the royalist faction at court, as both Prince Zanek and King Ramposa went to battle and fought these demons off that plagued the city, while Momon, from the perspective of many nobles, was merely doing his job as an adventurer and was driving away this demon. In this respect, they were more concerned with internal political power struggles, and from their own viewpoint of the aristocrats, it was particularly important to prevent Momon from rising to the status of nobility. If that were to happen, the king would have gained another powerful ally in the blink of an eye and have set a precedent for the likes of Gazav Stronov. In other words, they were more focused on themselves than on Yaldabaoth, especially since it seemed clear why the Demon Emperor had appeared. The Eight Fingers had apparently obtained an artifact that could control and summon demons. However, this explanation was not questioned further, and no one seemed to be interested in Yaldabaoth's whereabouts after his escape from Re-Estize. Once again, the kingdom's self-centeredness took precedent over an external threat. The Holy Kingdom, on the other hand, saw Yaldabaoth differently. They were directly confronted with the consequences of his actions, but unlike the Kingdom of Re-Estize, they had no Momon, no powerful hero capable of defeating Yaldabaoth or holding back his mates in battle. This is also why Ein Soul Gone, from the perspective of many in the Holy Kingdom and from Neabaraya's very own perspective, lost the duel with the Demon Emperor in his true form, since he also had to fight off the mates and had to expend so much mana during the Siege of Lloyds that he simply lacked the necessary stamina to then defeat the Demon Emperor Yaldabaoth afterwards. And at the same time, people were surprised at how such a powerful being could suddenly appear, as the Demon Emperor had only been active for a short time, yet was extremely powerful. And it was therefore suspected that Yaldabaoth of course, came from the eastern part of the continent. And this idea makes sense in the context of the New World, because we know that Platinum Dragonlord has his strongest allies and his greatest influence in the east of the continent, which suggests that Yaldabaoth fled from there to avoid dealing with Platinum and his allies. And considering that Platinum advises an entire nation in the region, namely the Arkland Council State, as one of the 5 Dragon Counselors, and that he is the most powerful among them, it's not surprising that Yaldabaoth would flee from there, since his power is supposedly much more greater in the east. But even though Yaldabaoth is enormously powerful, Jircniv, for example, doubted that this Demon Emperor could just eliminate Ein Soul Gone. He considered such news more of a joke, thinking that the punchline is, yeah, because he's already undead, rather than taking the report seriously. In other words, from Jircniv's perspective, Yaldabaoth is not seen as an absolute power compared to Ein Soul Gone. And the fact that Yaldabaoth had already lost to both Momon and then Ein Soul Gone being thus eliminated, led many inhabitants of the New World to believe that Yaldabaoth was not particularly strong compared to these entities. Moreover, the New World generally had a very difficult time understanding Yaldabaoth's true strength and assessing it correctly. For example, an army was formed in the yet demon-free south of the Holy Kingdom, consisting of conscripted civilians like merchants and farmers, whom Yaldabaoth, or rather the Overlord of Wrath, incinerated with a certain boredom, as they were so weak that he didn't interest him at all. And thus Yaldabaoth's strength was completely misjudged by the southern nobles. And there were no major plans to counter him, such as for example depleting his mana somehow and then poisoning him or banishing him with high-tier magic. As a result, many people's reaction to the Demon Emperor was rather underwhelming compared to his true strength. And furthermore, people like Remedios also didn't understood what was so special about the 5 Dark Young, the 5 goats of Ainsulgon, because the New World simply lacked a reference point to understand how powerful and threatening Yaldabaoth truly was, and will likely remember him as a mere footnote in history. And as far as the Hills of Rebellion are concerned, where Demiurge had taken power as his alter ego Yaldabaoth, most of them saw him as a cruel tyrant, hence why they later joined in with Ainsulgon and his liberation army efforts. But some actually respected Yaldabaoth's strength and power, and some, like Nasreen, wanted to mate with him. And that's how he is perceived. And now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on Yaldabaoth and how the New World has perceived him? And do you think that they are the same person? Feel free to let me know all of this down in the comment section. And with that said, please check out my German channel, my fantasy channel, and if you don't want to listen to my voice or accent, but are still interested in the things I have to say, I've made an AI channel, where I use AI voice covers for my video. And the channels are all linked down in the video description. Also, please check out my Patreon if you want to support me beyond just leaving a like or sub. And with that said, thank you very much for watching, thanks to my Patreons for supporting this channel, and special thanks to Ada Daddy Ada, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Bezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dan Pep, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch V. Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazer, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, O'Kill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Ruru, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Cune Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Sir Axolotl, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Zinukai, and Sonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.